The voice,
the heart,
the soul of the Cayman Islands.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. Here's your host, Anita Khan.
It's 28 minutes until 8 o'clock. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is our last Business Buzz for this week. Today is March 3rd, a brand new month. And we want to say happy birthday to those of you who are celebrating a birthday today. We have our guest in the studio for our first segment this morning on the Business Buzz. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, Cayman Insurance Center, Cayman Medical Supplies, and TCE Paint for their proud and generous sponsorship of the Business Buzz today. And we want to say thanks to our listeners, our YouTube viewers, our producer, Miss Susan Watson, in the next studio, taking care of business this morning. And, of course, to our guest in the studio. This morning, we're looking at the power of breath work, mindful meditation for beginners and busy people. Yes. And on that note, we want to say good morning to a brand new author, Ms. Carol Baker White. Carol, good morning.
Good morning to you, and thanks for having me, Anita.
Oh, you're very welcome. Congratulations on this book. Is this your first book?
Yes, it is my first book.
Look at you.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you again.
And we're going to hear all about this book from you. Now, Carol, you just didn't wake up one morning and say, well, today is such and such a day. Carol, I'm going to write a book.
No, it wasn't like that. Actually, I was teaching in Palm Beach, and my mentor, one of my mentors, Sandra, said, you need to write a book because you have these information that you need to share. At the time, I was a bit hesitant, but I keep getting newsletters and emails about writing books. And then we had a lockdown in Florida and USA, as a matter of fact. So it just stirred up my desire. And I said, I should use this time to write this book. Hence, my journey started about writing.
So that was, let's say, February 2020?
Well, I started about March, actually. Again, I seem to go March 2020, and I published it in November 2020. It's about 8 months.
That's quick. Wow. Record time, Carol. Okay. Now, so you had to put everything together and compile all the information and get it printed. What was the process like?
The process was not too intense because Amazon has, once you register, they give you step-by-step how to upload the book after you finish. And it was self-published.
Oh, okay.
And so you upload it to Amazon, and then afterward I have a publisher that did it globally. So it wasn't too intense with Amazon because they gave you detailed information how to upload the book, and so it wasn't such a bad thing.
So how different is it to work to self-edit, you call it?
Well, it's self-published, but I had editors who will review my book, of course. Okay. I would never do it on my own. I had many people, oversee it for me. So I did have editors. But when you talk about self-published, it's actually something that you do online. You register with Amazon, and then they give you steps how to upload a book. And it has to be in a certain format so it can be user-friendly with Kindle. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds easy, right?
Yeah, it's not bad, no.
Okay.
Once you register and you get the information, it's not so bad.
Now, what is involved? Now, we know all of this, but what is actually involved in getting that book published?
Well, in terms of what you mean in
okay, so just about the whole process.
Yeah,
you went through.
I did what I had to do. Research, obviously. Loads of research. If you saw my tables from the bedroom, it was just paper, right through. And when somebody said when you start writing, then you find that you have so many different topics, so you have to know how to cut the topics and not want everything in it because you like to say, I want this, I want that, but you have to realize you can't have everything.
Pick and choose.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then you copyright. I did a copyright for my book. I went to the process in Florida to get a copyright. So you they have their own protocol which you follow, and then you pay the fees that was required, and then you go to Amazon, as I mentioned before, and I said once you register with Amazon, there is just a simple step that gives you. It's user friendly but I had someone who actually formatted it for me. So Amazon has their own formatting for Kindle, so I got someone to do that for me. Those steps, yeah.
I'm trying to work through that. How that works.
Yes, yeah.
Now, what is the main intent of the book, and how can it empower someone to make positive changes, Carol?
Well, first, I want to say to you what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is purposely paying attention to your surrounding. Be free of distraction. It's actually being present now. Just like you and I, we're present, giving full attention. And this is time you can get rid of thoughts that no longer serve you. And most times they are thoughts that are negative. And you rewired your mind to more positive. So you're more aware of what you're thinking when you're mindful of your thoughts.
Carl, that's easier said than done.
I know, but when you start to hear that you're saying things about yourself that was not nice, you say, no, I need to change this to something much nicer. And this shows self-love, right? Self-love comes.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Self-love.
No, my way of thinking, Carol, is that I'm one of those people. My mind always it has a mind of its own, mind of its own, and it'll go off track half the time. Even when I'm doing this program, I have to stay focused because sometimes I'm listening, and then you can just what am I having for lunch today? You just let your mind wander.
The busy mind. The busy mind.
How do I bring it back to the table?
And first, I need to tell you that we have 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And 90% of those thoughts are repeat the following day. And most likely half of them are negative thoughts. So you have to be aware that you're going to always have thoughts coming. You don't just immediately get rid of the thoughts. You know what I mean? Don't get yourself so hung up that you have to get rid of thoughts. But in terms of mindfulness, as I told you, it gives you this ability to focus that you have chaos, you have all these thoughts going, but afterward it starts to compact it in a nice and greater way, in a more positive way for you. Once you start doing it, you just practice 5 minutes a day, just being mindful of your thoughts, just sitting and saying, what am I thinking today? What am I thinking now? And you even can write it down. When you write it down, you'll be surprised. Oh, my God, this is what I'm thinking. So you address the situation there. So, as he said, you can fire those thoughts that no longer serve you and rewire to a more positive and uplifting thoughts.
Just being a little frivolous, but sometimes I said to myself, my thoughts might answer me back one of these days. I'm just kidding. But, but why is mindfulness so important?
It is important because, especially now in these times where anxiety is almost high, than any centuries in this situation, it's good to have our thoughts being in a more positive and self-love way, because you find that you have more empathy towards people. And when you start doing mindfulness, what has happened to you? You have more empathy. Say I'm driving and you cut across me. If you're mindful, you respond to situation. You don't react to it, because when you react, it always most likely it's in a negative way. When you respond, it's more a thoughtful way. So you have empathy. You don't know the person, but you said, oh, they may be in a hurry. They maybe have an emergency. So you're more thoughtful towards people and yourself.
That's a good way of putting it. Now, if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Business Buzz, and this is our first segment this morning. We're speaking to brand new author, Carol Baker White, and the name of her book is The Power of Breathwork, Mindful Meditation for Beginners and Busy People. I just like the title, Carol. I love the title of your book.
Thank you so much.
Now, let's talk about the importance of breathing techniques. Tell us a little bit about this. I know whenever, say, my blood pressure is kind of running a little wacky, start, take some deep breaths, and it works.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it
you
does.
find it, your heart rate, goes
That's
down
true.
a little bit. Tell us about the importance
I'm
of
glad you mentioned
breathing.
that, Anita, because 3 out of 4 people are not breathing properly. I know it sounds very weird because why they're saying it, because you're taking 15 breaths per minute shallow breaths when we should be taking 4 deep breaths per minute. And 70% of toxin are actually released from proper breathing. So if you're not doing proper breath work, you're still keeping the toxin into your body, which is not good, right?
Correct.
So as I said, when you're breathing properly, is actually you're breathing in the digestive and the relaxed state, which is actually abdominal. But when you're not, you're breathing in the flight and flight mode, which is the chest area. That's when you start to do the shallow breaths, which we don't want. So, I can give you a technique afterwards to show you how, to get that blood pressure down.
Okay. Look forward to that. Now, are there different types of meditation, and how can someone prepare
Yes.
when it comes to meditation?
There are different types of meditation. You have open meditation, you have chanting, sound, you have focus meditation. I like focus because the person, especially when you're new to meditation, you just focus on one area. We can just do it, just the breath, just, hold and just breathe softly, and you just focus on your breath. And that will keep you a bit focused and not all over the place, give you something to focus on. Or even we can say gaze on something, slightly. And I would say when you're preparing for meditation, I would say wear something comfortable, maybe don't have meal 1 hour before, and make sure it's a quiet area. You turn off all connection to the outside world so there's no distraction. You have a better way of meditating doing that.
Do you have to have a designated area for this?
It would be nice if you do.
Okay.
Yes, that would be really nice to have.
But you can do it anywhere in your
You
car.
yes, you can. You
Put
can
your car
sometimes
over.
stop if something is really bothering you. You just stop. And it says self-care is part of meditation. We need to give ourselves self-care. And this is a good way to do it. Just stop and just take a deep breath.
Now, the book is for mindfulness meditation for beginners
Yeah.
and busy people.
Yes.
But those who are advanced in their ways of meditation, they can also look at your book as well.
Of course.
Okay.
I want everyone to look at my book and give me their reviews, because that would be nice to have reviews from people who know this technique and have done it over the years or whatever time. Yeah.
Okay. Carol, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion about the power of breath work, and we'll talk about the benefits and how mindfulness can help to improve our focus.
Yes.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Radio Cayman is government-owned. Radio Cayman's first broadcast was in Easter of 1976. We officially began broadcasting in December of the same year. We used to end our broadcast day at 11:30 p.m. and signed off for the night. Years later, we began broadcasting 24/7. Radio Cayman is a hybrid of community, public, and commercial radio. Radio Cayman offers news, talk, and music. And our sister station, Breeze FM, which was started in the 80s, offers music and news headlines. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Reports competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Report Competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
And for 45 years, we have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies, free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
Take your brush and gently dip it. Be careful not to drip it. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet your roller, then you roll it. Calmly, coolly, you control it. Wet paint.
Sherwin-Williams Insulating Acrylic Paint, featuring zero VOC. Interior paint improves your home air quality. Exterior paint to reduce up to 85% solar and UV radiation. Fresh home, breathe better. Save more with TCE Paint Shop. Sherwin-Williams at TCE Paint Shop at Cox Lumber locations and the original store at 27 Godfrey Nixon Way, 943-0565.
Gently dip it. Be careful not to drip it. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet paint.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
And we're speaking to brand new author, Carol Baker White. Carol, she's written the book, The Power of Breathwork, Mindful Meditation for Beginners and Busy People. Thanks again for being in the studio with us this morning, Carol.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Susan is our producer.
Yes.
She does a great job in putting this together.
She's amazing. Oh, my
Yes.
God. What a great team you guys have, I must say. I want to work with this team.
Yeah, come on in. Come on in. We'll be very mindful.
Yes.
We'll be very mindful, and we'll love to have you, Carol.
Yes.
Now, Carol, let's talk about the benefits and how mindfulness can help to improve our focus.
Well, as I told you before, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and it's repeated the next day, 90% of it. So mindfulness makes you more relaxed and less tense. So it also affects the blood pressure, it lowers the blood pressure, because what happens many times is the mind is going at a negative, something's not right with me, this, you know what I mean? So what the mindfulness does is keep it in a positive light. So you find that the heart rate goes down. When you're relaxed, it goes down. And even it helps chronic pain, and it helps people to look on situation in a more, say someone gave you more work than you expected, you don't panic. What you do, it give you the ability to assess it step by step instead of looking at it and panic immediately. So what it does, it enlarge the gray matter of the brain. So as I said, that helps you to look on things in a more positive way, not only just the negative side of things. So it's more manageable. Things that you have, it's more manageable to deal with.
I like that. Now, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
How can mindfulness be applied within the workplace? But you already answered my question. So
I also want to say too that 90% of doctors' visits are linked with stress problem, and I think we should introduce self-care or a mental health workshop in workplaces here, even around the world, to make people not feel embarrassed to discuss if they're feeling depressed or to have a mental health issues that's going on with them. And I think companies could be more proactive and saving people when they do things like this. And the workplace maybe should introduce 50 minutes break aside from lunch break to make people just have a step aside from the workload that they have, just to be mindful and just give self-care 5 minutes of it.
I do believe it's in our labor law, if I'm not too sure. 50 minutes in the morning, 50 minutes in the afternoon. But a lot of people don't, they just sit at their desk and just do what they have to do.
I didn't even know. Thanks for that information.
So, I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I hope I'm right, Susan? At least the private sector. But I mean, a lot of people get up, go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Go get some water, go to the kitchen.
Yes.
Some people take a smoke. Some people take a Facebook minute. They Instagram minute or whatever. But it's good to take a break.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I think it's a great idea. Now, Carol, why you alluded to the fact of why our minds can get so busy. Yeah. But again, why are our minds so busy, and what are your thoughts on information overload?
Well, we have so much going on with the social media, and people don't realize how much time they've spent on it. And I think this is something that when you're doing mindfulness, you are sort of aware of, oh my God, I'm spending so much time on the internet or social media. This is not good, because sometimes they're mostly bad news that you're reading or seeing, constant bad news, and that's not good for you. So I think if you're aware of what you're doing, which mindfulness does, then you'll be able to get rid of, I told you, the things that no longer serve you and replace it with things that are more positive impact in your day-to-day life.
Now, my mind is always busy. I go to bed, I'm lying there, and I can still feel the wheels turning, and it's hard to just wind down.
Yes.
I'm one of those people who find it hard to wind down. Where some people will just say, "Look, I'm going to bed," and they'll fall asleep. Not me. I'm just lying there. I'll turn the TV on. I'll read a book, and then if it's got to be a boring book, otherwise I won't fall asleep. Or if I'm watching a movie, it has to be something boring that'll put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Some people say, try some warm milk, try some, but it's there are thoughts that they don't even make sense.
Susan, we need to give you a schedule when you're going to bed. Meaning that you need to say 10 o'clock. This is what I'm going to do. 10:15, this is what I'm going to do, and you stick to those schedules.
That's a great idea, Carol. That's a great idea. I love that. No, okay, so those are some effective ways to keep calm. Then,
yes,
would you say?
Definitely.
Okay. Now, how can I get your book?
It's at the Next Chapter, Camana Bay, and also Book Nook.
Okay. Oh, Book Nook.
Yes.
And Next Chapter.
Yes, please.
What's the cost of the book?
It's $15.
Okay.
And
is that CI or US?
CI actually gave, in December, all the sales and proceeds went to charity in Cayman, Wizamil, Jamaica, and Africa.
Okay.
100% I gave, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, is this an easy read? How many pages in the book?
It's 74, and it's so 74. Easy. That's what I want it to be. I want people to...
Oh, you have a copy of it there?
Yes. And I gave Susan one. I need
Susan,
to sign it.
Susan, you want to put it up to your to our camera?
Yes.
So those watching streaming live can see it. The power of breath work.
Yes.
Okay. So it's basically an easy read.
It's so easy.
Do you have hardcover or just the soft cover? Is that the only...
Yeah, well, just hardcover for now, because on Amazon, I need to fix something to get it back on for sale, because I was leaving USA, so because of tax reason, I had to close down that site. Okay. So to get a new site, So
is it available on Kindle as well?
It will be.
Okay.
It was, yes. I need to sort that out. But for now, it's the hard copies.
Okay.
Yes.
So what can we expect from you in the future, Carol?
Well, I'm actually doing a cookbook. It's called Farm to the Kitchen Table. And I hope people will embrace it because I'm trying to use the local food and put in as a recipe, an easy recipe that anyone can use. You know, I like to do easy things that anyone can gravitate towards it. Yeah.
I need one of those where it comes from the farm straight into my pot.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't go on the table because if it goes on the table, I'll have to take care of it to get it to the pot. So, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, Carol. Before we wrap up this segment this morning, feel free to recap any main points that you would like to leave with our listeners.
I want everyone to know that doing mindfulness doesn't mean that you need to do an hour of it. 5 minutes at a time. I'm always saying you just start 5 minutes, and the next day you could even start 6 minutes. No pressure, and self-care is so important, especially these times where anxiety is so high. I think it's important for people to take time for themselves to ensure that their mental health is okay. And it's okay to talk about it too. No one should feel embarrassed to speak about being depressed at any time at all.
And any contact details?
Yes, it's Carol at the yogatemplellc.com.
Okay, Carol
at THE yogatemplellc.com. I think I'm saying it like Americans. They keep, when I said that, they said that. You can understand me. Sorry.
That's okay. That's right. Any telephone number or that just the email?
The email for now.
For now, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Carol, I want to say thank you and congratulations.
Okay.
Oh, before you go, give us one, any kind of demonstration you can leave with us this morning.
Yes. Well, Anita, this would be good for you.
Okay.
So close your eyes, have one hand on your chest, one on the stomach, and just breathe. Just take your time. Just breathe into that area. You should feel it in the chest, in the abdominal. Just 5 minutes of this. Okay. How was it?
Good, but one eye on the clock.
Yeah, I know.
There's my distraction.
I know.
There's my distraction, Carol.
But that's what you need to do before you go to bed.
Carol, thank you so much. Good luck with the second book, and we hopefully will see you back to hear more about that.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your team.
You're very welcome, and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks to our sponsors this morning. We're going to take a quick time check. Susan will have the news, weather, traffic, and we'll be back with our second segment on the Business Buzz. And on that segment, we'll be speaking with the folks from Integra Healthcare Limited.
Thank you, Anita. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
Oh, these are delicious. What are they?
They're Savor Smith's Potato Crisps. I got them at Foster's.
And those burgers, are they plant-based?
They are, sure. They're the Very Good Butcher's plant-based burgers. I'm finding all my new favorites in the Foster's Finds catalog, and they're super easy to spot. I just look out for the blue shelf signs as I shop.
Foster's Finds are exclusively available at Foster's Camana Bay. Visit fosters.ky/finds to discover your new favorites. Foster's, better selection because we care.
Oh, these are delicious. What are they?
They're Savor Smith's Potato Crisps. I got them at Foster's.
And those burgers, are they plant-based?
They are, sure. They're the Very Good Butcher's plant-based burgers. I'm finding all my new favorites in the Foster's Finds catalog, and they're super easy to spot. I just look out for the blue shelf signs as I shop.
Foster's Finds are exclusively available at Foster's Camana Bay. Visit fosters.ky/finds to discover your new favorites. Foster's, better selection because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
For today's biggest news. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. We start off with a heads up for drivers. Work is being done today on the pedestrian crossings adjacent to Hero Square in Georgetown between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., so you can expect delays in the area during these times. Crossings will be worked on individually. The pedestrian crossing from Hero Square and the library will be from 10 until 12, and then from 1 to 3, they'll tackle the Hero Square and House of Parliament crosswalk. Motorists should exercise caution when traveling in the area, or if possible, go ahead and take an alternate route. In celebration of Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee, the Governor's Office has announced that submissions are now open for the new Cayman Platinum Cake Competition. Details from CIGTV's Donna Bush.
The Governor's Office is seeking talented home bakers with tasty recipes to add to an illustrious list of royally celebrated foods. The winner of the competition will be invited to work with the chef at Government House to recreate their masterpiece for the Queen's birthday party in June of this year. The deadline to submit entries is Sunday, April 3rd. The application form can be found at gov.ky/jubilee/cake. Submissions made to the Governor's Office should include a recipe, a story, and a photograph of the creation. For more details on how to submit your application for the Cayman Platinum Cake Competition and to learn about other Jubilee events and celebrations, you can go online to gov.ky/Jubilee.
And the Cayman Islands Arts Festival continues this month with a jazz and trance big band recital tonight. CEF's Marius Guina tells Radio Cayman events are spread out over the next few months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but tonight's event is the third one.
Jazz in Trance, that will happen at 7 p.m. Outdoor at the National Gallery Gardens, and it's an event where on stage will be probably 15-20 performers. It's a big band group, and they will perform works by Michael Camilo, James Brown, Miles Davis. I mean, a lot of great songs, well known. People will really enjoy it.
It all happens at 7 p.m. at the National Gallery Garden. COVID-19 regulations will be applicable and social distancing will be required. Tickets are available on CaymanArtsFest.com. US $40 for adults and $10 for kids. For more information, you can email inquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com or call 922-5550. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Fighting is continuing in and around cities in eastern, southern and northern Ukraine as the Russian onslaught enters its second week. The capital, Kyiv, saw major explosions overnight. A large Russian convoy to the north of Kyiv remains stalled. Elsewhere, fighting centres on places including Ukraine's second city, Kharkiv, and the port of Mariupol. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has addressed President Putin directly in a new video clip, saying that Russia will pay Ukraine back fully for what it has done against the state. Speaking in Moscow, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has sought to justify the invasion by repeating Moscow's view that Ukraine's aspirations to join NATO represented a threat to Russia's security. He said he was confident that what he classified as hysteria in Western countries would end and that they'd turn to dialogue. More international companies and organisations are limiting or ceasing operations in Russia, the latest being IKEA and Volkswagen. It comes as oil and gas prices have continued to soar on global markets. The United Nations says 1 million refugees have left Ukraine since the Russian invasion began. More than half have gone to Poland, with Hungary, Romania, Slovakia and Moldova all taking large numbers. The International Paralympic Committee has said Russian and Belarusian athletes will be banned from the Winter Paralympics that start in Beijing on Friday. The IPC said it authorised the ban to preserve what it called the integrity of the Games. And briefly in other news, the rival government in Libya is preparing to be sworn in later today as a showdown with the current administration seems set to intensify. Fatih Bashagha is due to take the oath of office in Tobruk, but he said the incumbent Prime Minister Abdul Hamid al-Dabeiba has cut access to the ceremony. BBC News.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
It's in our name. Fried chicken, it's our thing. Others may try, but we have the original. We put the extra and extra crispy. And our secret in everyone's mouth. So if we want to make the best chicken sandwich, we just need to put our name on it. New Kentucky Chicken Sandwich. An abundant triple-breaded filet, premium mayo and pickles, all in a buttered brioche bun. The best chicken sandwich had to be KFC.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitment to further your career.
The Department of Education Services invites you to the 2022 National Children's Festival of the Arts art exhibition at the National Gallery. The exhibition, which ends on Thursday, March 3rd, features several captivating works of art from children across the Cayman Islands. For more details, please call the DES at 945-1199 or email gloria.bell@gov.ky.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? Nope, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
Pleasant good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 75%. The barometric pressure 30.03 inches and rising. The wind is out of the northeast at 4 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate light to moderate winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area, due in part to a weak pressure gradient across the Gulf of Mexico. Satellite images show patches of low-level clouds moving towards the southwest, across the Cayman area. Now the forecast for today and tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the mid-80s today and will fall to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be northeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 3 minutes past 10, low tide this afternoon at 4:17, and a high tide again tonight at 10:27. The sun will set this evening at 6:30 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:41. And the outlook is calling for moderate northeasterly winds and seas from Friday morning as a high-pressure system builds over the southeast United States.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Stayed a bit flowing traffic on Shamrock Road and the Linford Pearson Highway. Traffic is busy on Cool Road heading to Georgetown. Eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving along moderately. And as we look to the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. Light traffic on Owen Roberts Drive, and coming from the Westway four-way stop, traffic is flowing pretty good. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic flowing at a good pace. And on Northstown Road, traffic is moderate in both directions. That's what's happening on the roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Health City at Cayman Bay. Open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 12 noon to 4 p.m. Sunday. Now offering confirmatory PCR tests free of charge at our testing center 2 doors down. Our friendly and professional care teams offer a wide range of specialties at our state-of-the-art Cayman Bay Clinic and PCR test results within 4 hours. We are here to help you save time and feel better. Health City at Cayman Bay. World-class healthcare at a convenient location within your reach.
Attention Caymanian job seekers. Do you want to know what jobs are available right now in the Cayman Islands? See all available jobs listed by occupation in the Jobs Cayman job directory printed in this week's local newspapers. Pick up the newspaper to see all available jobs listed by occupation. Then go to www.work.ky. That's WORC.ky to register and apply online.
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267, or download an application form from the Ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
14 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. We now bring you the second segment of the Buzz for this Thursday morning. I keep getting mixed up because yesterday was a public holiday in the Cayman Islands and I'm thinking it's Monday and today is Tuesday. No, it's Thursday, March 3rd. And we have an almost full studio this morning on the second segment. We have, I feel, very, very safe and healthy. We have 2 doctors and the director of Integra Healthcare Limited. We have Dr. Sarah Watkin. She is a pediatrician and newborn specialist. We have Dr. Francisco Martinez, GP and family medicine specialist. And along came with them Mr. Andrew Vincent. Andrew is the director of Integra Healthcare Limited. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Everybody's doing good this morning?
Doing good.
I don't see any coffee cups. Oh, yeah, there's one. Dr. Sarah is well equipped this morning. Now, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I'll just call your names, but I would like you to introduce yourself. Right next to me, I have Mr. Andrew Vincent. Andrew?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Andrew Vincent. I'm one of the directors of our team of 3 directors at Integra Healthcare. Okay. Obviously been there since the very beginning.
Okay, and we have Dr.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Watkin. I am a paediatrician and neonatologist at Integra Healthcare. I'm one of the directors.
Okay, and Dr. Francisco Martinez.
Good morning to everybody. I'm Dr. Francisco Martinez, a GP and family medicine specialist I'm medical director of Integra Healthcare.
And I'm Anita Khan, and I'm looking forward to this discussion. This morning we're putting the focus on the Automaker COVID-19 antibody immunity test. Did I pronounce that correctly?
It was close enough.
Because, like I said earlier, I look at this word and I go, Automaker. So, let's talk about... let's talk a little bit about the Automaker and what it does. How does it work?
Okay, so the test itself was developed by biomedical scientists at Exeter University with the help of a grant from the British government because it was seen as particularly important technology. And we brought this to the Cayman Islands in attempts to help us move back into a more normal living situation. So obviously, historically, we had tested with PCR and lateral flow just really to tell whether someone had COVID or not. And what we wanted to do was bring technology that would help us actually look at immunity, allowing us to know what state the population is at or individuals are at. And so the test itself, it looks at antibody levels to the virus, a number of different antibody levels to the virus. And from that, what it will do is it will tell you your actual levels of immunity based around the thresholds used in things like the vaccine trials. And so, what that means is it will look at 3 different types of antibodies. It will make a prediction from that as to roughly how long your immunity will last before you reach what we call the edge of immunity. And that allows people to know whether they're protected, whether their protection is waning, whether or not it's time to get a booster. If you've got high levels, it gives you reassurance that you are protected. So that allows you to go back to that normal life that we described. If you have low levels, then of course what it allows you to do is make sure you either engage in behaviour that protects you or that you look for a booster vaccination in order to ensure that you're properly protected.
Okay, I'm going to just jump right up front and ask you, are you the only place on the island where I can do this test?
At the moment, that's true. Yeah, at the moment, that's true. We will look to probably extend that because certainly the initial uptake has been very, very strong. And I think, over time, what we will see is we'll need to have more locations that are offering that testing, particularly when we start to look at things like a population-level immunity test.
Okay. So I can just walk in to Integra and ask to be tested?
Well, you can walk in, but you might have a little bit of a wait.
Okay.
But you can book online. And
Okay.
And then you've got your slot, and we very much keep to time. So so then that's much easier to manage your day.
And before I forget, do you take the various insurance providers? Take, for instance, Cineco?
So we take all insurance providers with the exception of Cineco, and it's not that we don't take Cineco, it's just that as a private provider, to be able to offer Cineco patients care based on their Cineco insurance, we have to have a referral for that. So if Cineco patients want this test at the moment, it would mean that they would probably have to self-pay, or that if they were particularly vulnerable and made a case that they would need a referral for it, then they would have to do that through Cineco.
Okay. And if I have to self-pay, what would be the cost?
So the way in which we structure it is that the test itself, the cost is not set by us. The cost is set by the manufacturer, and that's $175. Okay. For non-self-pay patients, most part of that is typically covered by insurance. There is a consultation cost, and that's pretty much always covered by insurance on people's normal insurance, and that's to ensure that they get the right advice around what they're seeing, so they don't just get dumped with a set of results and have no idea what that really means.
Okay. Now I got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Most civil servants, they're Cineco, and I'm pretty sure, they'll want to know, how this works, how this will work for them. Now, so for someone like yourself, Andrew, what would this mean? I know there's a personal story behind this.
Yeah, so there is a personal story. So I'm someone with one or two risk factors for more severe COVID illness. I have some lifestyle-related issues around weight, being on the edge of the threshold for diabetes. It puts me into a high-risk category. And therefore it means I'm particularly interested in remaining protected, because obviously if I fall below the thresholds for good protection, and I do get COVID, then I'm more likely to suffer severe illness, more likely to have hospitalization, ICU, and more likely to be on the list of people that don't make it. And therefore, I want to actually always know that I'm protected, and then obviously manage my protection and my behaviours, my health protection behaviours, to ensure that I am safe.
Okay. Now I feel like I should have taken one of these tests before you guys walked in the room. No. How important is the automaker COVID-19 antibody immunity test? How important it is for us to have this done to get back to a normal place, if there is such a thing anymore as a normal place?
I think that's a really good question, because we know that the effects of the pandemic have not just been on people's health status, although obviously that's been the thing that's worried everybody. It's affected policy, it's affected the way businesses run. Even now, businesses are constantly facing a situation where part of their workforce is in isolation. It disrupts the economy hugely, and obviously there are many people that have not got jobs as a result of the pandemic. So we have to find ways of not just locking people up if they think that they're at risk. We have to find ways of actually opening up our normal economy to normal functions. And I think that by knowing the immune status of a group of people, and that group of people managing their vaccination status and their booster status to ensure that they've got good protection, allows us to have some confidence that we can open up, we can get back to normal, knowing that we've got good protection, which means we're not going to be completely protected from catching the virus, but the virus is not going to have its most severe effects. And we've been lucky because we have had good vaccination rates in the Cayman Islands. That's reflected in the fact that we have not had a very high rate of severe disease. But vaccination protection wanes over time, and so as we start to open up, and as people have had very variable lengths of time since their vaccinations or their boosters, we have to go to actively managing that if we want to make sure we don't reintroduce risk as we open up. And that's where we think the technology is particularly valuable, because you can look at populations, you could look at the elderly and the vulnerable, for instance. You could target your vaccination approaches to making sure that they're properly protected in a workforce. It allows you to know who might be at risk and deploy them accordingly. And of course, those people are also at risk from spreading it through the workforce, so you can manage things appropriately. This is particularly important for things like tourism industry as well, where obviously it's a group of people that are particularly exposed to other people.
That's right.
And if you're confident that you've got very good immunity in your workforce, then you can go about your business with a reasonable degree of confidence. If not, you can take measures to address that.
How long ago since you put this in place?
So really, we've only had it operational the last few weeks. Yeah, so it's a relatively new launch. We actually had to limit the number of appointments we offered in the first week because we were so overwhelmed with inquiries, and we're slowly catching up on that now. We had a long list of people that we were starting to work through, but we're now getting to the situation where it is available for normal testing for individuals that want to come in.
And now this morning your radio came in, so by this afternoon you'll have to figure something else out, right? Hopefully.
The team is ready.
The team is ready. Okay, I like that. I like that. Now, what have been some of your early experiences of using the test?
I think that's Dr. Martinez best to answer that.
Now, I see there's a shortened version of your name here.
Paco.
Dr. Martinez. Paco.
Paco.
So we can call you Dr. Paco?
Yes, perfectly. Shorter and easier.
Okay.
So the experience has been very interesting, no? Because we have almost all the population has been very similar in terms of when they got the first, second dose, then variations with the boosters. Some people had it in October, some people in November, others in December, others didn't. And of course, we had a couple of cases of people who didn't get any vaccine. So that has allowed us to see how is the difference, mainly between having 2 doses and having 2 doses plus a booster. So the difference in the level of antibodies is huge. Okay, so people with booster that has been, let's say, normally around October, November, December, they have protection at least till summer, so till August, September. Okay. People who didn't have the booster, very short protection. Some of them no protection at all now. Other with a protection only till March. We are in March, April. And another interesting thing we have been seeing is that people with no booster, but they were in contact with a household member who was positive, even not having positive LFT, they have very, very high immunity. So our consideration, and also talking with the scientist team back in the UK, is that these people has gone through either a minimal contact with the virus, but enough, thanks to the vaccine, to create quickly a high immunity response and not showing any signs of disease, or they had an asymptomatic COVID. That also is possible, no? Mm-hmm. Of course, people with no vaccine, they have no protection. And I have seen a couple of cases who had COVID, and they have the typical immunity response of someone who recently had COVID.
Have you had anybody tested so far using the immunity test who've not had the virus nor the vaccine? I mean, that sounds weird, but...
Who didn't have any of both things.
Right.
Yes, with zero.
Zero.
Sorry. Okay. Zero means no protection.
No protection.
It's not a number. It's less than the amount of antibodies needed to be protected.
Because you had, I mean, prior to this coming to light, the virus and the shutdown and everything, March 2020, I've heard people say, I was sick before that, and I really had the flu really bad, and I believe I had COVID before COVID, became so, well, not pronounced, but became aware that there's this thing called COVID. So people would say, I was really, really sick, and I think I had COVID.
Yes.
Have you heard that before?
Many times. Not only now that we are doing the test, also before, because there was a lot of people in December 2019 with severe chest infection. Plenty. At that time, we didn't think about COVID. We didn't have any test. So maybe many of those persons had COVID, and we didn't know.
I think I was one of those people, because I had it twice between December and February.
Yes,
and
it was terrible.
Really bad.
Between
really
December
bad.
and terrible.
Okay. Now, Dr. Paco, we are hearing of different types of antibodies. Can you explain more about this to us? And of course, in layman's term, people like me who don't have a clue.
Okay, we have, in general, we have 5 types of antibodies in an immune system, no? We are going to talk about the 2 main ones, IgG, IgM. IgM appears in the very acute infection and goes away. Then we have IgM, that is the one, IgG, that is the one we are using for the test. Is the long-term protection. Okay. No? What happens, you can do another antibody testing through a lab, and they will tell you positive, negative, and a number. But positive for antibodies doesn't mean protection. If I pay a rent of $2,000 to have 1,000, doesn't mean that I have a home. Okay. So I am positive for money, because I have 1,000, I'm not protected to pay my rent. So what?
That's a good example.
Yes, so what Automaker is doing is telling you not if you have antibodies. It's telling you if you have the level of antibodies that protects you from infection. The same one that was used with the vaccines during the trials.
Okay. Now, it has been said that we have a booster rate of just 29%, but a target of 60%. Mm-hmm. Who will this test help pertaining to our vaccination efforts?
Sorry. They help a lot, and I can tell you by my experience, people who didn't get the booster coming, doing the test, seeing the results, and saying, I remember a patient, she told me, oh, it was a Tuesday, on Friday I go to get the booster. Mm-hmm. Because she saw she had no protection. She was very good getting the vaccine at the beginning, January, February, but it's been a year.
A year?
It's been a year since we started vaccinating.
Right. No, I'm thinking, okay, like for myself, I held off on getting the vaccine for a long time, a whole year, almost a whole year, because we started in January. I got mine in December. Mm-hmm. My 2 shots in December, one just day before Christmas, or Christmas, 2 days before Christmas. And my booster is due in June of this year. Now, we know that we can do it 3 months before. Yes. We don't have to wait 6 months before. Would you highly recommend that 3 month, within the 3 months you take your booster shot?
I recommend to get the booster shot, but I recommend in a case like yours, mm-hmm. to do the test. Because the test is going to tell you if your immunity now is very high, and if you put the booster, first, you are wasting the booster, mm-hmm. and second, you can have too much immunity. And when there is too much immunity, we are in levels of autoimmune disease when the antibodies attack yourself. Ooh. So the test can tell you where you are when that protection is finishing, and you decide when to take the booster.
So I'll be a good example for this test.
You will be a perfect one.
Now let's go back to what you just said, having too much immunity. Can you elaborate a little more on that, Doctor?
Yes. Okay. Maybe the public has heard about autoimmune disease, no? Mm-hmm. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, thyroiditis. Autoimmune disease is when your own antibodies attacks yourself. Mm-hmm. And there is a level of antibodies in blood. Like with everything, too much of something, good for nothing, no? So there is a level of antibodies in blood that can be dangerous. We don't say how dangerous, because the first research is being done now. Mm-hmm. So better not to play with it. Better to get the booster when it's needed.
Very interesting.
And there is another thing. Imagine you had your top 2 vaccines, November, December. Mm-hmm. In January, you have someone with COVID at home. You got asymptomatic COVID. So then your immunity is super high. Why getting a booster now? Mm-hmm. It's better to wait when your levels of antibody are not protecting you.
Okay, now that's food for thought. And on that note, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll resume our discussion with Dr. Sarah Watkin, pediatrician and newborn specialist, Dr. Francisco Martinez, GP and family medicine specialist, and Mr. Andrew Vincent, director of Integra, or one of the directors of Integra Healthcare Limited. We're speaking about the Automaker COVID-19 antibody immunity test.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
And for 45 years, we have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitments to further your career.
Mama, Dada, Anna, Uncle, please go get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of yourself. You're the reason I got vaccinated.
You must practice social distancing and proper hand hygiene and never forget your mask. Help me, help you. Get your COVID-19 booster shot and take care of conditions that make you vulnerable. Get boosted. We're in this together.
Visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn more.
Business Buzz. Anita Khan.
A quick break there, quick indeed. Barely got time to catch my breath. But it's good to be in the studio this morning. Good morning again to our guests. Good morning to our listeners and our YouTube viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our guests in the studio this morning, as we just mentioned before the break, Dr. Sarah Watkin, pediatrician and newborn specialist, alongside Dr. Francisco Martinez, GP and family medicine specialist. And we have also in the studio Mr. Andrew Vincent. Andrew is one of the directors of Integra Healthcare Limited, and we're putting the focus this morning on the automarker COVID-19 antibody immunity test. And I like the fact that Dr. Paco, we call him Paco now. That's his name now, Dr. Paco. Dr. Paco.
I love that name.
You love that name? I love it too, Dr. Paco. I can see all the kids coming in and saying, Dr. Paco, I need lollipop. No, but that's not your job. That'll be Dr. Sarah's job. No, can the test be used in children? We know parents are very interested in child immunity at the moment with the arrival of the vaccination for the children. Now, what sorts of question are you being asked, Dr. Sarah?
So the biggest question we're obviously being asked at the moment is whether the children who are 5 to 11 should be receiving the vaccine. As many of you are aware, the vaccine is now on island. It is not compulsory for children of 5 to 11 to have it. And I think it's important that parents make their own informed decision about whether it is right to have for their children. And it isn't an easy answer, and it will be a different answer for different parents. So we know the vaccine has been used in the USA since November in the 5 to 11-year-olds, and more than 8 million children have had the vaccine with no major long-term side effects. But in the UK, which is where I am, it's only a week ago that we agreed to give the vaccine to this group of children. And that's because COVID-19 is a mild disease in children. We've seen that on the island here. We've had very few admissions to hospital. The mortality rate for COVID is less than 1 in a million for healthy children. But there are reasons why you might want to take the vaccine. You might want to take the vaccine to protect your wider family. Many of our families have not left this island for over 2 years. I know many people who've not seen grandparents for 2 years, maybe because they're vulnerable to the infection. Having the vaccine would make families feel safe in going to visit those families. We don't know what the next strain of COVID is going to be like. It may be much more virulent and much more severe in young children, and that might be a reason why you want to go ahead with the vaccine. And my hope is if we do vaccinate our children, that it will allow a reduction in some of the policies we have on island at the moment. A reduction in quarantining children, a reduction in mask wearing at school, some of my patients have been doing lateral flow tests now daily for months and months and months. They are terrified about things in their noses and in their mouths. They are terrified about COVID, and they shouldn't be terrified, not children. So they're the questions parents are asking me, particularly about 5 to 11-year-olds. Parents are asking about the Atamarca test. Parents can have the test on their children, but it would be best done in the scenarios that we've already spoken about. The machine itself has its CE and its MHRA approval for adults only, which is very common with most medical equipment used in children. The research is always done on adults. It can be done doing a finger prick on children. It needs a tiny, tiny amount of blood, less than 1/20th of a teaspoon of blood. What's really exciting for me is that we have just got ethics approval from the Cayman Islands Ethics Committee to do a small project in babies in the first week of life whose mothers are asking us a question constantly: if I've had the vaccine or I've had COVID, is my baby protected? So this is a very small study taking blood from 20 mums and their babies simultaneously and comparing their COVID antibody levels.
How old will those
The
babies?
children have to be less than 1 week of age.
Less than 1 week. Oh, less than 1 week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll take the blood from the babies from a heel prick sample. All babies have a heel prick sample done, so this is nothing that is over invasive.
Wow, that's interesting as well. Now, I have to tell you a little story. My grandson, he was 5 at the time. This is school reopened September last year. So 2 weeks into school, he contracted COVID, and he doesn't say COVID. He says corona. She says he has corona, and he's now 6, turned 6 last month, in January, sorry. And he said to me, he said, "Grammy, I have antibodies." I'm like, "Where did you learn this?" He said, he didn't answer my question. He said, "I have antibodies." I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting. I'm glad you have antibodies." Now, I don't know what else to say to that. Now, what would you say to that, Dr. Sarah? If a 6-year-old tells you, "I have antibodies"?
I would say he's a very clever little boy.
Actually, another day I picked him up from school and he said, "Grammy, there's a new corona." I'm like, "Okay, which one is this time?" He said, "B2, what was it? I don't even know, B something 2.
Yeah.
B.
It's Omicron V variant.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. But it was B2 something, and I'm like, yes. I had no clue. I glimpsed it somewhere because, I'm not very focused. But apparently he is. Dr. Sarah, how can we best protect our children?
So the best way to protect our children is obviously as adults to be vaccinated. But that's just one form of protection. That's protecting our children from COVID. There's another area we need to protect our children from, and that's their mental health. And many of our children are terrified about COVID. We can't underestimate the mental health problems that we might be storing up for the future from the policies that we've had in place around the world, stopping children going to school, repeated prolonged quarantines. There are children on this island who've been quarantined for more than 30, some 40 plus days, when all the evidence is that generally if your lateral flows are negative by 10 days, you should be able to be back in the community and back at school. So, my message to parents is keep calm, get yourselves protected, try not to make your children frightened about COVID. Try and keep life as normal as possible.
Okay. And the other question I have for you is experiences with the test. Now, you said it's only been a short while since it has been launched. Do we take a prick or draw blood? How do we do the test? Dr. Pato?
We are drawing blood by now.
Okay.
The amount is minimal, but we are using the classic technique of
small
the
amount
needle.
Small amount of blood.
A small amount.
Okay.
Yes.
And how long do you have to wait for the test to be completed?
It's 7 minutes, but let's say 10 minutes, because all the administrative thing.
So I can have the results right there after 10 minutes.
Yes.
It's like a pregnancy test.
We give you a coffee even while you wait.
I'll take a lollipop. Susan, ready for a break? Yes, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Dr. Sarah Watkin, pediatrician and newborn specialist, Dr. Francisco Martinez, fondly known as Dr. Paco, GP and family medicine specialist, also Mr. Andrew Vincent, director of Integra Healthcare Limited. Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
Take your brush and gently dip it. Be careful not to drip it. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet your roller, then you roll it. Calmly, coolly, you control it. Wet paint.
Sherwin-Williams insulating acrylic paint featuring zero VOC. Interior paint improves your home air quality. Exterior paint to reduce up to 85% solar and UV radiation. Fresh home, breathe better. Save more with TCE Paint Shop. Sherwin-Williams at TCE Paint Shop at Cox Lumber locations and the original store at 27 Godfrey Nixon Way, 943-0565.
Gently dip it. Be careful not to drip it. Wet paint. Wet paint. Wet paint.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
The Ministry of Education invites all eligible Caymanians to apply for an Education Council local scholarship for the 2022-2023 academic year. To apply for a local scholarship or learn more about the various scholarship offerings, please visit the Scholarship Secretariat Unit's website at www.moescholarships.gov.ky. Applications close on Saturday, April 30th, 2022.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
12 minutes until 9 o'clock, until Susan brings you the headlines and some sweet, sweet music on the breakfast session. That will take us up to 10 o'clock this morning. At noon, we'll have your midday news, and we'll have Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne E. Banks. So I know you look forward to that. In the meantime, we're wrapping up our discussion with Dr. Sarah Watkin, pediatrician and newborn specialist, Dr. Francisco Martinez, or Dr. Paco, we're calling him in the studio this morning, GP and family medicine specialist, and Mr. Andrew Vincent, one of the directors of Integra Healthcare Limited, and we're looking at the Automarker COVID-19 antibody immunity test. And testing it is, and I know when to, I think I'm going to do one of these so I know exactly where I stand with regards to taking my booster, and what my immunity level is at the moment. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's
Very
awesome. Awesome. 6 months ago, I didn't think something like this existed,
Me neither.
So we're happy to have it here and have Integra Healthcare Limited launch this product. Now, I know some people are concerned about repeated vaccinations, like vaccine 1, vaccine 2, hopefully, and then booster. Hopefully we don't have to get a fourth one. Is there anything you can tell us about that and how this test might help along the way?
I think so. I think there's a number of things that are really important. So first of all, the key message is that boosting is going to be necessary for the foreseeable future, simply because your level of protection and immunity wanes over time. It wanes at different rates for different people. One of the issues that people are concerned about, though, is what happens if I keep having the booster injections. Are there any longer-term effects on that, or are there any specific effects that I need to be concerned about? And although the rates of autoimmunity are relatively low, what we know from studies done as long as a decade ago is that repeated exposure to the same antigen, or in this case, the components of the vaccine, increases the chances of things like autoimmunity, and particularly in people who are susceptible to it anyway. And some of those people may well have a genetic predisposition. One of the things that we know is important in that process is if you overstimulate the immune system. So let's just say someone has very, very, very high antibodies, and then you repeatedly vaccinate, or they're exposed to the virus, then that increases the risk. And what it goes back to something that Paco said, which is that if you've got good protection, then there is a rationale for allowing that protection to continue as long as it continues, and then getting the booster. And what the test does, it allows you to time that, so reducing these potential effects. I think the other thing is that obviously we're kind of learning as we go through COVID. It was a new disease, as Paco said earlier, but in late 2019, no one was even really thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, by March 2020, we were thinking about locking down. That's how fast it emerged. And so the science needs to catch up. And I think that sensible management of our immune status allows the science to catch up in terms of what's advisable, what's the best timing. I think the other reason that this is important is that, you mentioned fourth doses. So in Israel, they're already doing fourth doses. In Malta, they're reaching the stage where they want to know what to do. They're actually going to do immunity testing at a population level to see whether or not they should be doing a fourth dose. And that's because of some of these concerns. Do you introduce a new problem that you didn't have before by simply continuing to mass vaccinate? But our message is really, really clear that the vaccination and the boosting is really, really crucial. It's just we need to manage it more intelligently through better timing.
Sorry, I would like to remember the people that always, because they do this question, even my friends, no? Why do we have to get one and then another one? I say, because you forgot that you got 4 polio and 5 Tdap. So there are many vaccines.
Forgot about that.
Many vaccines that needs more than one dose, okay? And nobody questioned that. You take your kids to the pediatrician to get the polio 1, the polio 2, the polio 3.
Yeah, and I think the add-on point to that, which is interesting, is that, of course, those have been long established with a lot of science behind them. And, of course, what's emerged from that is a schedule of when it's best to get those vaccinations. And we're, governments are doing a really great job in terms of wanting to protect their populations. But the science is still catching up in where's the optimal timing and how we best achieve that.
No, going back to Andrew, how are you finding the test results as it relates to what you are seeing in real life?
So, and I think the real life question is super important because, we do these tests in medicine and sometimes the results are academically interesting, but what does it mean on the ground? I think we're seeing a number of things. I think the thing that we're particularly positive about is that where people discover that they have a level of immunity that was less than they thought, because, as I say, the immunity wanes different speeds in different people, then it is encouraging them to get a booster, and it's appropriate for them to get that booster to maintain their protection. We are seeing people sometimes with very high antibody levels, and what it's causing them to do is to say, well, okay, I might be being encouraged to boost because of, how long it's been, but at a clinical level, that gives me no additional benefit. And we have no provision for a fourth dose at the moment on the island, and so maybe it's better to wait and have my booster at a time when it's more appropriate. Let's let the benefits of this booster or the vaccines I've had so far continue, then get a boost, and then perhaps when I need my fourth dose, we've now got the provisions for that fourth dose. So I think in real life we're seeing, I think, some very, very interesting effects. The other thing that I wanted to just mention was we have a member of staff who has 2 children who have both had COVID. They were symptomatic for actually a reasonable length of time. They weren't severely ill, but they were definitely symptomatic with COVID. And so that member of staff was exposed to COVID absolutely daily. And, there's no way you can adequately protect yourself from your own children. And so, in terms of exposure. But this was someone who had got actually very good antibody levels. And every day she would come in and she would say, "I don't understand how I haven't got COVID." Because
are they small children?
Yeah, it's
very
small
young
children.
Because young children, they're always over you. They're in your face the entire time.
You can't. You're going to have far more worse effects by not kissing them and cuddling them and doing all the things that parents do. So every day she'd come in and say, "I don't understand why I haven't caught COVID." And we looked at her immunity levels, and we saw her immunity levels were really, really, really high. And so, of course, there's the explanation is that she has an immunity level that is actually stopping her from getting an infection, even though she's probably in the worst of circumstances for being exposed to it. And I think that that's at an individual level. But if you put that in the case of, say, someone working in the hospitality industry, who might be facing new people, well, obviously we've got cruise tourism being reintroduced, really important for the economy. But it means that some people are going to get exposed to many, many, many different people, and actually the immunity that they hold is obviously in their interests, but also in everybody's interests, because otherwise, if they catch it, they can spread it.
Now, if I do take for instance, if I take the test, right, and it shows I have a high level of immunity, what sort of indicator, or how do you know when to take, say, if you have to take your booster, how do you know when? What sort of timeline, or how do you know when to take that?
The test based on statistics done by the group of researchers back in the Exeter University, the test will tell us. So you will have in a document a date when your immunity probably is not valid anymore. Again, it's not that you don't have antibodies. It's that the level of antibodies you have is not giving you the protection that you need. So I give you a report, I explain it to you, and in that report you will see November 2022. So then you know that by that time, either you repeat the test to see where you are, or you go and get your booster. I recommend to repeat the test because on the way from here to November, maybe you had a symptomatic COVID, and you don't know, and your immunity is again high. So, but the test will tell you how is your immunity now and for how long is expected to last.
Okay, and we had a question that came in via WhatsApp, and Dr. Sarah, you might want to take it. A listener wants to know the children 5 to 11, if there are any side effects with the vaccine.
So, like all vaccines, and there are maybe some minor side effects when you have it. So there may be some soreness or some redness at the point of where the injection was given, and some children will have some flu-like symptoms in the 1 to 3 days after the vaccine, very similar to what we as adults have had. The really great news about the 5 to 11-year-old vaccine is that we don't seem to be seeing the same side effects that we have been seeing, particularly in adolescent boys aged 12 to 18, with this risk of a condition called myocarditis or inflammation of the heart. That is not being reported in the children's vaccine, and probably reflects that it is a third of the dose of the vaccine that we give to our 12 to 18-year-olds.
Okay. Now, I want to say thank you so much for coming in this morning to talk about the automarker COVID-19 antibody immunity test. But before I let you go, can we have some contact details for Integra Healthcare Limited?
Yes, certainly. So if anyone wants to find out any more information, if they go to the Integra website, which is integra.ky, you'll find a link from the homepage directly to the information about the test. Anyone can call us if they want to on 745-7450, or they can email us as well to set it up at team@integra.ky.
Okay, I'm over my time, but 30 seconds, put into a nutshell, the automarker, COVID-19.
So in 30 seconds, it's a test that allows you to look at your own degree of immunity and protection based on the levels of antibodies that you have. It allows you to time your booster. It allows you to be reassured that perhaps you can get on with a reasonably normal life. And it's part of, obviously, what is a global move towards much more precision, individualized healthcare, which we all know is the right direction going forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Vincent. Andrew, Director of Integra, one of the directors of Integra Healthcare Limited. Dr. Francisco Martinez, Dr. Paco,
Thank you,
GP and family medicine specialist, and Dr. Sarah Watkin, pediatrician and newborn specialist. Thank you so much for coming in this morning and talking about the Automarker COVID-19 antibody immunity test, something I have to get done for myself. Thank you so much. And thanks to our sponsors, Cayman Insurance Center, Cayman Medical Supplies, and TCE Paint. Thanks to our first guest in the first segment this morning, Carol Baker White, and to all our listeners and our YouTube viewers, and of course our producer, Ms. Susan Watson. Thank you. Until Tuesday, March 8th, when we bring you another Business Buzz, please stay safe. Remember to mask up, keep your hands sanitized or washed, practice your social distancing, and if at all possible, vaccinate or boosternate. And don't forget, if at all possible as well, make sure you get tested using the Automarker COVID-19 antibody immunity test.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by K-Man Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. Optical Outlook, now at their new location in Anderson Square. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. And K-Man Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And TCE Paint Shop, with 3 locations to better serve your home decor needs. Cox Lumber, Sparky Drive, Cox Lumber, Boddentown, and the original store at 27 Godfrey Nixon Way.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman, one radio.